In 2016, Silicon Valley decided that the act of squeezing a fruit was too difficult for the average human peasant. Their solution, Juicero, a machine that costs $700. That is the price of a used Honda Civic or a decent laptop, all for an appliance that did exactly one thing: it pushed a bag. This isn't a story about a bad product. This is a story about a collective delusion where Google, Kleiner, Perkins, and the smartest investors in the world threw $120 million into a dumpster fire because it was branded as wellness. Meet Doug Evans. Doug didn't look like a CEO, he looked like he was about to sell you a crystal that cures gluten intolerance. Doug compared himself to Steve Jobs. Seriously, he claimed he was doing for juice what Apple did for personal computing, because apparently before 2016, nobody knew how to drink liquids. Doug's pitch was simple: fresh juice is hard, cleaning a blender is oppression, so he created a closed ecosystem. You couldn't just put fruit in the machine. No, that would be too convenient. You had to buy his proprietary bags of pre-chopped sludge. He effectively invented a printer that only accepts ink cartridges made of kale. Now, if you're going to charge $700 for a juice press, it better massage your feet while it works. To his credit, the engineering inside this thing was insane. It was built like a tank designed to invade a Whole Foods. It had 400 custom parts. It had a scanner, a microprocessor, and an aircraft-grade aluminum chassis. The motor delivered 4 tons of force. 4 tons. That is enough force to lift 2 Teslas. Why do you need the strength of a hydraulic press to squeeze a bag of diced carrots? You don't. But Doug wasn't building an appliance. He was building an ego monument. But the stupidity didn't stop at the hardware. This monstrosity had Wi-Fi. Why does a juice press need to connect to the internet? So it can check the weather, so it can mine Bitcoin? No, it needed Wi-Fi to read the QR code on the back of the juice bag. If the code said the bag was expired, even by 1 day, the machine would refuse to press it. It was DRM for vegetables. Imagine waking up hungover, wanting a glass of green sludge, and your toaster tells you, "I'm sorry, Dave, I can't let you do that. This spinach expired at midnight." For a while, the tech press ate it up. They called it the Keurig for juice. Investors were high on their own supply, but then in April 2017, the Grim Reaper arrived. And by Grim Reaper, I mean 2 reporters from Bloomberg. They bought a Juicero packet, they looked at the $700 machine, then they looked at their human hands, and they did the unthinkable. They squeezed the bag. It turns out the human hand is a remarkably efficient tool. The reporters squeezed the bag into a glass faster than the machine could press it. The video went viral instantly. The investors panicked. They realized they hadn't invested in a tech company, they had invested in a bag-squeezing cult. The company went into damage control. The CEO released a statement that was essentially 500 words of, "Please stop squeezing our bags, you're ruining the magic." He actually argued that the machine was necessary because the bags could be messy. Ah yes, the devastating risk of getting a drop of beet juice on your counter. Totally worth the GDP of a small island nation. They dropped the price from $700 to $400. Then they offered refunds, but the spell was broken. Juicero was dead in the water. Juicero shut down in roughly 16 months. They burned through $120 million at a speed that would make a cocaine cartel blush. The machines are now collector's items, relics of a time when interest rates were low and IQs were lower. Juicero proved that you can have the best engineers, the richest backers, and the sleekest design, but you cannot engineer your way out of basic logic. They forgot the golden rule of business. If your product is less useful than a pair of hands, you don't have a unicorn, you have a donkey in a party hat. Doug Evans wanted to change the world, and he did. He taught us that just because it has Wi-Fi doesn't mean it isn't trash.